We will get started. Very much. Well, good afternoon, good evening. Bienvenidos to all of you mesmerized and confused by the time change that we are in the swirl of on this Sunday here at Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. I am your host, Sandy Yannone, and it's a very beautiful day out here on the East Coast where I'm joining you from. I've been traveling quite a bit, as folks have possibly watched, but I'm really glad to be back on the East Coast and kind of landing as here in the United States. We're preparing for the election results on Tuesday. Well, today it's our Poets Focus. It's the first reading of November. That's always our Poets Focus. We choose a word to look at prismatically. And the word that we'll be looking at today is rise. And I am tending to say it with a crescendo in it and an exclamation point. But all of the readers today, you will add your own flair and flavor to our theme for today on the themed open mic on the theme of rise. Well, before we get started, a little bit about Cultivating Voices Live Poetry and a little bit about the specifics of our reading today, kind of the details of how we will be going about the reading today. And welcome to those of you just joining us here in Zoom. And of course, those of you who may be watching us live on Facebook and or YouTube. And of course, the hundreds and hundreds of you that watch us every single week here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. We are a poetry group that began in March 2020. International, intergenerational, intersectional group. We have now over 5,000 members worldwide, and we just have an amazing constellation join us every single of the three weeks every month that we gather together, and sometimes with our special programs. So it is always a pleasure to be in the company of anyone who feels called to come to read with us on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. And again, folks, today our theme in our open mic is the word rise. And if those of you just joining us, I encourage you to put your name onto the list. We are getting ready to begin the reading, and we likely will head to the waiting list. And so let's get started, because I want to give enough space for everyone here in the now 85 minutes that we have to go. Well, first up today, and it's been just a joy to be able to chat with Howard Debs in our pre-reading. It's always good to see you, Howard. And I was saying personally that I love it whenever we meet here or in the Rattlecast or in a room. It's always so great to see you, and I think it's very appropriate. So take it away. Here we go, folks. Rise for rise.
First, congrats on reaching that magic 5,000. And as some of you know, today is the New York Marathon. And Sandy, Kim, and Don, and Beth as well needs kudos. You have run the long race to reach this milestone, so I tip my hat. I am here, and I know that this is something to come perhaps later, but I am here to invoke initially Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. I am here with you today to rise up for the sake of the future. I want to share a piece from my chapbook, Political, winner of the 2021 American Writing Awards for Poetry, and a new work just published on November 1st, which also happens to be my birthday, in Synchronized Chaos, with thanks to its amazing executive editor, Christina Deptula. And as I think that poetry, especially if possible, should be seen as well as heard, I'll show you them as well as read them.
I see that we've had a little trickster energy happen. Folks, let's see. There we go. There we go.
This first piece is from my book, Political, a prose poem. All-American anecdote. While savoring breakfast at my favorite local diner, a burly African-American customer, without being asked, on his way to the cashier to pay, seeing a disabled Caucasian American having no success being transferred from his seat to his wheelchair by his wife, then further aided by two waitresses to no avail, that person helped move the patron in need, all involved matter-of-factly acknowledging each other and bidding all a fine day. The Good Samaritan went on his way, restoring my faith in the real America on display. And this is that new piece just up at Synchronized Chaos. And it's called Order Up. It's a game. And I have the proof right here in front of you that it is indeed a game. Order Up, it's a game. I know it's a game because I bought it. I got it for my grandkids when they were young. They loved it. We played it a lot. A review of the game says it all. Order Up puts the short back in short order cook, but virtual cooking has never been more engaging. Think about it. It's a Monday, a work day. Customers are pouring in, placing orders with little time to wait around. Maybe they've got a half hour or so for lunch. It's called fast food for a reason. I once knew a social media content creator who got fired because she took too long a lunch break. She was stealing time on company time, they said. So this is serious business. Wolfing down a Big Mac and fries is an eating skill essential for the average Jane or Joe. In other words, this is nothing to play around with, except in your spare time on PlayStation. If you're ever at a Waffle House or other diner worth its name, pay attention to the cook who's manning the grill. It's a culinary operatic ballet. Adam and Eve on a raft, 86, the axle grease, BLT hold the mayo, blue plate special, bowl of red, tube steak deluxe, synchrony in motion. There's close to 1 million short order cooks employed in the United States, according to one recent estimate. Most don't have time to play games. And there's an afterword. Trump visited a Bucks County McDonald's to cook some French fries and work the drive-through. The news headline says it all. In a post-truth world, deepfake, simulated, virtual, has become an accepted stand-in for real. If only Orwell was yet among us, he'd have a field day. And I'll post the link to Synchronized Chaos so that you can go further with this if you so wish. Let me get back to you.
Thank you so much, everyone. That's Howard Debs. And as you all know, Howard posts with regularly onto Cultivating Voices live poetry page. Always love Howard's engagement and and with poetry, with on so many other platforms, I've had the very, very good fortune to interact on other poetry platforms, and it's always great when you're with us, Howard. So thank you so much for starting us off today, folks. It is our Poets Focus. We are opening up our November just before the United States presidential and congressional, local, all the way down the line elections. With our word today is rise. You all are on the open mic with your very prismatic interpretations of that word. I like that right out of the gate we were invoking Maya Angelou, and if we have time, we're going to play a clip of her reading "And Still I Rise" at the end of the program today. Just a few reminders before we go to our next reader that if our featured readers today, the 12 of them will have 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes, meaning you don't have to take the whole 5 minutes, because what that does is allows us some more expansive time with those of us who might be on our waiting list to read one poem, one page up to 3 minutes. And I also would like to remind you all that the chat here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry is live and is available to you just as the program is. And please do use your good discretion in what you post. Please have it be, we of course want you to use it to be enthusiastic about the poets reading and respectful in your interactions with others. I don't often, I only from time to time do I remind people of this, and I'll remind people of this today, which might be me reminding myself. The chat function, you can chat person to person privately, but private isn't very private. Because we do provide the chat to readers who request it. We have and we don't post it on Facebook, but we provide it after the program, and those come in a transcript where what once was private chat messages are not private anymore. So if you are chatting with someone off the live chat, please know that if we publish, it's not live, it's not private anymore. So. And on that note, a reminder that if you also need to provide a content notice to be supportive of everyone being able to take the agency of their own good self-care in their own hands, we do appreciate those content notices. Well, I'm going to turn now to our next reader. Linda, I want you to pronounce, I'm going to have you pronounce your last name so I hear it one more time, and then I'll really have it. I want to make sure, I don't like to mispronounce, and I just want to make sure that I get the intonations correctly. But Linda's been with us before, and I'm really very, very happy that you navigated the clock and were able to make it here today, as so many of us probably have been navigating the clock.
Hello, my name's Linda Wlodyka, and Sandy saved me because I said to her at, I don't know, 20 after 2, I said, I don't even know what time it is. And I'd been trying to get in for like a half an hour, but I knew that my computer and my phone were a different time than my wall clocks. But anyway, now I know what time it is. So I live not too far from Happy Valley. I live in Berkshire County. And this first poem is about the highest peak in the state. Drive. It is always this way whenever I drive this stretch of road. Hawk, deer, a rafter of turkey greet me. In summer's drought, dust kicks up behind car. In fall, deciduous canopy, vivid brilliance leaves me in a stupor as airborne leaves float aimlessly. In winter, it can be traversed by snowshoes, cross-country skis, snowmobiles. A poet once said, sled dogs, Linda, sled dogs. I Google Malamute, stare into the eyes of a canine, revered for strength and resistance to cold, taxi for the snowbound. Spring is always dicey, dirt shoulder sucks tire in a phantom mud slick. The road meanders upward like a ski slope. As I ascend, my eyes peer over the rise. An overlook, notification that you have arrived, begs you stay and soak up a valley's contents. Roads, rivers, lakes, rooftops, chimneys, vehicles, houses, windmills, schools, churches, cell towers, meadows, farms, fields, forests, entities, a living testament to humans who've laid the bricks, sawed the boards, erected the walls, roof. If it were not for the ingenuity of those who rise to the occasion, I could not point out my house's white roof looming in the shadow of Mount Greylock, Massachusetts, a mountain donning a 93-foot Veterans War Memorial that takes on the likeness of a lighthouse placed in the only 1,200-acre taiga boreal forest in my state. I breathe deeply, aromatic scents, pines, mountain laurel. As I release the brake, descend, a deer stands motionless. I have one more short one, and it's kind of sad, but the word rise is used once. Tick-tock, twisted twilight, tainted with thorns, pierces my skin, blood pools, then drips. I wonder where you've been. Mysterious man, all whiskers and words. I hear your indecipherable moan rise above a gravestone. Bend ear to earth, lush turf. Night crawlers squirm, haven for crows, dandelions, and worms. Father time, tick-tock, whiskers, blood, thorns. Petals disclose, shadowy rose. Left to repose, a single tear flows. Thank you.
Wow, just two really evocative, beautiful poems today on the open mic from Linda Wlodyka. Thank you so much for being here, and I am glad that you did navigate that clock so well and come back very soon with us. I really loved hearing the work and yeah, my understanding is that this area in Massachusetts is called the Happy Valley, but also if you're in Pennsylvania, I wonder how many Happy Valleys there are in the country because I know around Penn State they call that the Happy Valley area too. So maybe people listening will let us know about where there are other Happy Valleys in the country. And boy, do we need all we can get. So, but it is particularly beautiful in the area of the country that you are, Linda. So and enjoy it all. Enjoy it all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, next, folks, we will go back to Olympia, Washington, which is where we were broadcasting our wild card open mic just a few weeks ago, and hear from our good friend Ken Burch. Hello, Ken.
Actually, I'm up.
Oh, sorry, David. I'll come. Okay. Why don't we let Ken go and then I'll come back to you so I can say something great about you too.
Hi, Sandy. Oh, that just I was caught a little bit off guard there. I still thought, but I'm just getting my stuff up here.
Okay.
It's I hadn't anyway. I'm two things. One of them isn't directly on the theme of rising, but it may be talking about what we would rise against. It comes from something that happened to me the other night. I was walking downtown on Washington Street near home from an open mic I performed at, and a woman walked by me wearing a Stars and Bars, a Confederate battle flag stocking cap. So I wasn't sure whether she knew what it meant or not. So this is what I got from that. As I walked north on Washington Street, the night part done, she then appeared, not seeing me yet. What did she see? Did she see? did she see? If so, what? On her head, a deepening dark stocking cap. Knitted when? By whose hand? By whose plan? On the cap, the bars and the stars, the slaver's flag. Why wear that? Why do that? Why be that? Does she know what her headgear means, what that flag's done? Of those sold, of those bound, of those drowned, some by those from whom I derive, this I must own. Of those burned, of those lynched, of those lost? Is it just rage, pain minus thought, non-directed, not quite aimed, not quite heard, not quite what? Does she dream of still bleeding wounds reinfecting? Is that what she wants? If so, why? What could she for any reason need from all this? What could she, if she could, from this gain? What of that, were it now restored, could be her balm? By whose fear, by whose pain could she heal? Does she care? Does she only wish for others' grief? And then when would she come to say, I didn't know? The second one is a summoning poem. I've written things like this before, this idea dealing directly with the theme. It's called Something May Rise. And deals with a lot of historical reality and warning for historic violence in a few couple of cases. From the ashes of Gaza, something may rise. From the rubble of Lebanon, something may rise. From where the Scottish tenant farmers were cleared, something may rise. From where the Irish poppies were cleared, something may rise. From the fields where those owned by my disgraceful ancestors were worked beyond their deaths, something may rise. From the deserts and mountains once half of Mexico, where Mexicans were driven by away by the U.S. invaders in 1848, something may rise. From every inch of land where manifest destiny drove those sent forever into tiny strips of waste ground, meant to die and to lose themselves before dying, something may rise. From the damp, cold woods of the camps where the tents of the houseless of Olympia were cleared, something may rise. From the hidden rooms of the red states and the red parts of the blue, where those who cannot live free as themselves now hide to simply live, something may rise. From the fears of those who fought against what may be happening now back in the streets of Munich, Berlin in the 1920s, whose warnings were ignored by the comfortable and the privileged then, who were forced into exile or sent to the camps or killed, sometimes with their deaths organized on IBM punch cards, facilitated by technology developed by Henry Ford in the 1930s and 1940s, and who scream never again for anyone to us now from their unidentified mass graves. From the raging, valiant memory of those ordinary souls who became far from ordinary, who joined regular armies or guerrilla bands, partisan hero squads to sacrifice themselves to stop the nightmare, something may rise. From those who simply saw the Hollywood version of this movie but now aren't sure if the movie will end with the good guys winning this time, something may rise. From the memory of the Algerians who fell in Paris in 1961, or the Mexican youth who were slaughtered by the Pries death squads on the Zocalo in 1968 for fear their message would cut into summer Olympic profits, or those killed in Santiago by Pinochet, Kissinger, and Nixon's death squads in 1973, or those murdered by the FBI at Wounded Knee the same year for daring not to die out, for those who fell in Nicaragua or El Salvador or Guatemala or the rest of the Americas from the lethal weapons of the Monroe Doctrine, or those who died fearing the Schambachs whip through the years of apartheid, a system kept alive solely for the profits of the few who still won't quite allow South Africa to live. Something may rise. From those newly born, not yet knowing of the truth of this world, something may rise, something may rise, something may rise, something may rise. More of us may fall, but something may rise. Thank you and stay safe, everyone.
Oh, wow. That is Ken Burch joining us from Olympia, Washington. Very powerful, powerful poems that really not only spoke to, but literally invoked our theme today. We are on our Poet's Focus on the word rise. Thank you so much, Ken. Always great to hear your unique way of delivering a powerful poem. Thank you so much. Well, now we go to Canada. My apologies for inverting. It seems to be little trickster time energy has gotten the best of me here too. So we're going to go to David Brydges. I know David, of course, is impatiently watching the election as well, and I say that with all due respect. So I'm really curious to see what you're bringing to our table today on our theme of Rise. Welcome, David.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment. The fate of the world is watching. We're in dark times, but is it going to get darker, or are we going to turn the page? So that's our choice, basically. Lawrence Ferlinghetti, Poetry as Insurgent Art. It is by my bedside. It's the only poetry book by my bedside. Published in 1975. It's gone through 7 reprints. And 50 years later, it's a timeless classic. It's as close as I opinion, coming to a poetry Bible as you can get. I call it the New Testament of truth. Populist Manifesto 1, 1976. Poets, come out of your closets, open your windows, open your doors. You have been holed up too long in your closed worlds. Come down from your Russian hills and Telegraph Hills, your Beacon Hills and your Chapel Hills, your Mount Analogues and your Mont Parnasses, down from your foothills and mountains, out of your teepees and domes. The trees are falling, and wheel to the woods no more. No time now for sitting in them. As man burns down his own house to roast his pig, no more chanting Hare Krishna while Rome burns. San Francisco's burning, Mayakovsky's Moscow's burning, the fossil fuels of life. Night and the horse approaches, eating light, heat, and power, and the clouds have trousers. No time now for the artist to hide above, beyond, behind the scenes, indifferent, paring his fingernails, refining himself out of existence. No time now for our little literary games. No time now for our paranoias and hypochondrias. No time now for fear and loathing. Time now only for light and love. We have seen the best minds of our generation destroyed by boredom at poetry readings. Poetry isn't a secret society. It isn't a temple either. Secret words and chants won't do any longer. The hour of alming is over. The time for keening come. Time for keening and rejoicing over the coming end of industrial civilization, which is bad for earth and man. Time now to face outward in the full lotus position with eyes wide open. Time now to open your mouths with a new open speech. Time now to communicate with all sentient beings. All you poets of the cities hung in museums, including myself. All you poets writing poetry about poetry. All you dead language poets and deconstructionists. All you poetry workshop poets in the boondock heart of America. All you housebroken Ezra Pounds, all you far-out, freaked-out, cut-up poets, all you pre-stressed concrete poets, all you cunnilingual poets, all you pay-toilet poets groaning with graffiti, all you A-train swingers who never swing on birches, all you masters of the sawmill haiku in the Siberias of America, all you eyeless unrealists, all you self-occulting super realists, all you boredom visionaries and closet agatroprogators, all you Groucho Marxist poets and leisure class comrades who lie around all day and talk about the working class proletariat, all you Catholic anarchists of poetry, all you black mountaineers of poetry, all you Boston Brahmins and Molinas Bukolaks, all you den mothers of poetry, all you Zen brothers of poetry, all you suicide lovers of poetry, all you hairy professors of poesy, all you poetry reviewers drinking the blood of the poet, all you poetry police, where are Whitman's wild children? Where the great voices speaking out with a sense of sweetness and sublimity? Where the great new vision, the great world view, the high prophetic song of the immense earth? and all that sings in it, and our relation to it. Poets, descend to the street of the world once more and open your minds and eyes with the old visual delight. Clear your throat and speak up. Poetry is dead. Long live poetry with terrible eyes and buffalo strength. Don't wait for the revolution, or it'll happen without you. Stop mumbling and speak out with a new wide open poetry, with a new common sensual public surface, with other subjective levels or other subversive levels, a tuning fork in the inner ear to strike below the surface of your own sweet self. Still sing. You utter the word en masse. Poetry, the common carrier for the transportation of the public to higher places than other wheels can carry it. Poetry still falls from the skies into our streets, still open. They haven't put up the barricades yet. The streets still alive with faces, lovely men and women still walking there, still lovely creatures everywhere, in the eyes of all the secret of all still buried there. Whitman's wild children still sleeping there, awake and sing in the open air.
Is David Brydges with that litany, Lawrence Ferlinghetti's. That is just a perfect rising crescendo of a poem. Really, I think of it as a manifesto, of course, and it's really wonderful and reminded me that amongst all my books that are still packed away in Connecticut, there is I have a hardcover edition of Lawrence, that very Poetry as an Insurgent Act. And if you've never read Ferlinghetti's, that original text, obviously you see from David what it has so much to offer, and then so much more. It's in kind of that category for me of Muriel Rukeyser's The Life of Poetry. I mean, they're different genres. That is Rukeyser are essays, of course, but her opening essay, which was really the founding, if you go to the founding video that we did for Cultivating Voices Live Poetry, and if you even go to the page, you'll see there's a quotation from Muriel Rukeyser's The Life of Poetry, and why poetry matters so much. So that is definitely right up there in terms of its American, un-American manifestos for the ages around why poetry matters. Thank you so much. That's David Brydges, everyone. Can always count on David to bring us something so significant. Well, Patricia Carragon, Brownstone Poets, I hope you'll make an announcement about the upcoming things that you have going on. I've been paying somewhat attention while I've been traveling and seeing all the things that are going on in Brooklyn with you. And also just, I know you might talk about this, but if not, Patricia works the polls here in New York. And so she is right in the thick of this election and seeing it really emerge from her vantage point. And so I want to thank you for that very, very important work that you do. I know it is tiring, probably sometimes toxic.
I was a canvasser. I had to quit because it was killing me.
I
was working in South Brooklyn. Trumpy land.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So you're really in the thick of it. So.
I don't know. I was lucky because I know somebody who went to Staten Island and they shoot him off. He's African American. The guy came out with a gun.
Oh, wow. Well, what do you have for us today?
Okay, I have one political and one rising from a fallout with a relationship. Okay, now let me get with the fireworks right now. Glass roses inspired by J.G. Ballard's The Garden of Time. You can't wake up and smell the roses when they've turned to glass. Petals too showy, too insular, too inanimate to feel and understand the world outside your garden walls. You, like those fake petals, struck your sculptured bod in gaudy plumage of deceased birds, where diamonds faceted in blood and the silent screams of those who work to survive, not to live. Clothes studded in crystals scream, "Look at me," while another family moves to Tent City. You admire an expensive bag crafted from ice, while the children of Gaza gather rainwater to drink. Your extravagance wears designer rose glasses and earbuds, not seeing or hearing the approaching mob. The working poor who fight to keep a ceiling over their heads, stretch shrinking dollars at supermarkets and elsewhere, and American healthcare won't care if they get sick. Raising the living wage still won't cut it when political parties make Pinocchio promises before changing hands after election day. You smile and pluck another rose, but life is not a TikTok moment because not all influences are about self-absorbance. You can't stymie time when time must move forward. Your garden is dying faster than ever. You don't see that Gaia is crying while being engulfed in flames. We're waking up and taking to the streets, not accepting your bullshit and Hunger Games attitude, the brutality to quash our voices, the building of a new Gilead, the genocide of certain people by governmental decree. Soon you'll become calcified statues destined to overlook your destroyed garden, the crumbled walls of your fortress, while holding a broken glass of your once beautiful rose. Thank you. Now, I'll move on to, this was written yesterday. This is for those who try to get out of a shitty relationship. Walk on, inspired by Diana Krall. Along the promenade, seagulls eat dried bread. Children laugh and play tag. Families walk together, undisturbed by the Sunday cyclist. A woman steals a kiss. Her partner does the same. The sun and clouds harmonize against a crisp autumn sky. Conceptual art spins into action. My shadow's part of it, but I'm not. My mood too upset to commit. You walk on by that same path now broken under golden and red leaves. You walk on by, and I do the same. How shadows fade. The promenade remembers. Thank you.
Wow. The passion of the first one and the different passion of the second one. Beautiful. Beautiful. That is Patricia Carragon, everyone. Patricia, please do put information about Brownstone Poets in the chat for everyone. I know folks would be interested.
It hasn't been, I hadn't set it up there. I'm going to be doing it after the election.
Okay, no worries, no worries. No pressure whatsoever. No worries, no worries. I just want to always make sure folks know they're welcome to do that and share with the audience. Of course. Thank you so much for both of those just absolutely stunning poems. Folks, you are here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. I'm your host for today, Sandy Yannone, as most Sundays I am. And we are at our first reading of November. And of course, we're seeing some things in the chat. Like, you know, my mom is telling folks, vote like your life depends on it, because it does really. And David Brydges said, you know, the world's watching here, what's going on here in the States. So we wanted to be here with a very uplifting, or the possibility for a very uplifting, pointed, power-filled reading pre-election, and knowing that also our poets coming up in our new book showcase next weekend, we hope they will not have a certain kind of tall order to deal with, but they are very primed, the poets that we've chosen, to really speak to the moment that we are in too. So that's just a little preview of the preview I'm going to give you for the new book showcase coming up next Sunday. We now move on. I'm so glad I get to introduce Laura Gerard, because I got to meet Laura in Seattle. And I, unfortunately, because I'm not at, I actually have the book. There was a reading of Take a Stand, Art Against Hate at the Seattle Public Library. I can't even remember the date now, because the date and the calendar and the month and everything is really too swirly around in my head. October was a whirlwind, but I got to meet Laura there, and I said, please, please, please do, come on when you can. And she's here today. I'm so excited to be following up with you as live as we can be, now that we're not in the same time zone and location. And while Laura's reading, I think I will try to put a link to the book that I'm referring to, Take a Stand, Art Against Hate. It was published by Raven Chronicles Press. They've been doing amazing, amazing work in the Pacific Northwest for decades. The editor is Phoebe Bosch. Wow, we saw so many poets, and Laura was among them. So thanks for bringing all that good energy forward to today's program, Laura. It's so great to see you.
Thank you, Sandy. That was a wonderful introduction. It's so nice meeting you. Such a warm person, just melt my heart. So, my writing is turning a little bit more personal. I hope that's okay. And this first poem is from my unpublished manuscript. See if I can bring it up here. I had it. Hold on. There it is. So this one, the first one, is published on a site called OncoLink. It is a Penn Medicine cancer information website. I have a series called Poetry That Fits, and hopefully that's helping others to see, there's someone else out there having similar thoughts and feelings, right? So this first one is called I Don't Have All the Answers. I don't have all the answers. I've just shelved existential questions beside absent friends. Remission doesn't mean healing unless it sustains over time. Blood tests are ever-changing examinations of the past. How I feel right now is more important. There is no greater measurement of what's inside. At least this is what I'm learning as I smile at the clear sky, breathe spruce, and feel summer on my skin. Even as I drive toward tests in Port Angeles, listening to Stephen King's On Writing. I cannot predict God's will, but I can receive my blessings and notice the natural art displayed as I choose my focus every day. Today, a lab tech makes conversation. What exciting things are you getting into later? I pause before I answer. Novel words rise from ashes. I don't know, but I'm going to figure something out. Before I say this, in a moment barely realized, the moss of uncertainty deep within me flutter free, gather anger and sadness on their scaly legs, fly into light, and dissolve in a flash. So that was just a moment on my journey. Thanks. And this second poem, this is a recently written poem, so it's a young one. And I wrote it after Cher's song that I heard when I was on vacation in the Bahamas this summer. And I was actually training with dolphins to do dolphin-accompanied craniosacral therapy. So if you're interested in or intrigued by that, you can Google that. But it's an Upledger course. And I was there. I had planned on doing this in 2020 and canceled it. So this was a coming a full circle. I was able to do this finally. And then I heard this song by Cher. You haven't seen the last of me. I won't fade into the background of my own life. I won't end, but stay. I won't become a ghost of my past, but solid, stronger as me. Yes, I've been on my knees, yet these years have shed shells. Words flow from me, capture the light I've hid behind responsibility. Life isn't what I'm writing, but in the guava sunrise, I rise behind the shade of palm trees. I rise beyond bay waves and Caribbean winds. I rise from shoot osteoderm skin, walk from seawater to grave land, emerge an evolved self, create new breath from terrestrial lungs, expanded from 4 years of dusting primordial webbing, rebirthing, and yes, writing this living, overcoming and running toward a new reality. I move on. I rise at sun's constant, a lizard in new skin. Thank you.
I believe that's your debut reading here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. I want to welcome you. I think you've been in the room before, but sometimes I'm like, and if I get this wrong, it's all fine. It doesn't have to be correct. What matters is the poetry that people bring whenever they bring it. The details, the poetry is what the details are. So thank you for those poems. I absolutely marveled in hearing you in Seattle, and I marveled today. And please do keep sending that manuscript out. Reach out anytime as well. I'm very, very happy to support that endeavor. That's Laura Gerard today, but not the last time she'll be with us, I know. And a fine note here, I see on the open mic today, I believe we do have many people who are reading, a few of you who are reading for the first time with us. Of course, there's many, many platforms, and we really appreciate all of you using Cultivating Voices Live Poetry today for our Poets Focus on the theme of Rise. Well, if there is ever a rising meteoric star of poetry, just constantly rising, it is the one and only. You know who it is, everybody, if you've been here. Catherine Ronan. Go over to Cork. Hello, my friend.
Hello, everyone.
West Cork, excuse me.
Well, I did represent Cork. Now I'm just back from representing Cork as one of the representatives in the Cork Coventry Poetry Exchange, the magical Coventry. So I only got to bed at 5 a.m. this morning. But if I had one thing to do today, I had to come here. So we did a chapbook for the Cork Coventry Poetry Exchange, and I'm going to read a new poem from that. First Night. I put my hand over my left ribs. You were there in a small box for broken bones. I inhale the memory of your caramel, coconut, oily musk in yesterday's bed. I refuse to change the sheets as white noise, silence roars in treacle darkness. Tell me, my love, how does the sun rise when the moon heaves in grief?
Are you going to read another poem?
No, that's it.
That's all you really, that's it. I mean, that's plenty.
I'm just,
wow.
I'm Coventry'd out in a good way.
I understand. No, you know what? Here's a little piece of advice, everybody. If you leave a poem like that, don't throw another one down after that one. Just stick with the one. You're good. You got a poem like that? You can deliver a poem like that? Don't go for another one. Let everybody swoon to the moon and stay there. That's Catherine Ronan, everyone, joining us with a different prismatic take on our Poets Focus for today on the word rise. Oh, that was Yeah, that was an ecstatic moment. I loved it, every moment of it. Thank you so much. Our next poet, and I do believe this is a, I could be wrong. I could always be wrong, but I do believe this may be a first reading here on Cultivated Voices. If not, my apologies. Eelka Lampe, I'm so glad to have you here today. And if I have made any false move here, please correct me. And so glad you're here today.
Thank you so much, Sandy. And yes, it is my first time reading here, not my first time attending, but yeah, I'm happy to be part of it. And this poem was published in Moonstone Press's anthology called Banned Books in September. Window into past and present. This is not the first time. History will repeat itself if we won't heed the warning signs. There is a memorial in Berlin in front of Humboldt University, overlooked by many. You have to stumble upon it, a small window in the ground. When you look through it, you see empty bookshelves lining an underground chamber, chilling, so simple, so stark, chilling, reminding us of the book burnings in the 1930s on this very square. It's already here again, now on a different continent. It's now, it's here. Let's heed all warning signs.
Well, that's another call for, if you're gonna throw a poem down and you're gonna throw one down, there's another poem of a very different timbre and nature, but the subtlety rose to the power of its occasion in that poem. That was I would like to read that poem over and over again. And I will never forget that was your debut here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. I thank you so very much. And I'm going to actually I'm going to private message you because I really would like to see the poem. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Well, now we go to, I believe we're in New York. I think we're in New York City. Mona may not be in New York City today, but that's the origin of where she mostly reads from, and always so fortunate to be able to hear the voice and the poetry of Mona Zamfirescu. Welcome to you, my friend. So nice to be with you.
Thank you so very much, Sandy, and thank you for everyone who read before. Wow, what a night, what a wonderful show. I have one poem. It might not seem like it's on theme, but I think on deeper reflection it is. So I will just leave it like that. It's called The Work. Unfinished thoughts pierce the air like leaves mid-fall, golden, ready, and released. I shake my head, the body follows. Till it slant completely, to know not to hurry. The depleted, I question the work.
Maybe if she turned off her video, it might help.
Yeah, okay, it's cutting out for everybody. I have unstable internet, so Mona, you're a little unstable on the internet, so we might want to have you
Is
you
it,
know,
I am back now. Is it okay to
yeah,
continue?
you're okay. Yeah. In fact, look, I would please just go back and start over so we can hear
Okay.
you.
I'm
I
so
mean,
sorry. My
no,
internet kind of,
no,
yeah.
don't apologize. Don't apologize. But you might turn your camera off because it might stabilize it so we can
Okay.
really hear you all the way
All
through.
right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Unfinished thoughts pierce the air like leaves meet fall, golden and ready and released. I shake my head, the body follows. Tell its land, never completely, say those who know not to hurry. The pile gathers behind the house, the yard clean for one moment, singular and green. Breathe in. Now filled again with golden glory. Depleted, I question the work. The clothesline packed and ready, wildly stretched sails of a ship still long ways from safe harbor. Here, open, I question my departures. I have arrived, I know, like the wind. Yes, how it dries us all. Deliberations folded, stacked, and put away, clean for one moment, singular and white. Breathe out. In a blink of an eyelid's, a fluttering of colors refills the autumn sky with elemental pleas. Deer have rested under my trees, their trail a gift, though I don't know it. They will return just like the maple and the red oak, only much sooner, with quiet eyes and undisturbed, like everything on earth. I step on and I do, yes, I do it again, all. Never completely untangled, the lines hold no rush. Breathe in the wind, they say. Such is the work of the heart.
Wow, folks, you are bringing the poems today. Oh my gosh. Yes, I feel the subtle, subtle, subtle rise in that poem. I feel like I feel like it meets its maker very, very well. Let's put it that way. It meets its maker very, very well. Oh, beautiful, beautiful poem. I mean, I'm lucky, everyone, because basically, if I want to hear these poems again, thanks to Don Krieger and Kim Ports Parsons, all I have to do is look at the recordings. And then, if I really need it on the page, I can just reach out. But that's the beauty here, Cultivating Voices live poetry. And I think I'm going to be listening to this one with, yes, probably many times in the next couple days. Thank you. That's Mona Zamfirescu, everyone. What a beautiful poem. Thank you so much for bringing to the program. And I'm glad we had you start over so that we got the full effect. And it was perfect, perfect with the camera off. Not that we don't want to see your beautiful face, of course. Next time. Thank you. Well, we move now to Colorado. I feel like we are at a convention here, doing this, the state's call out. Of course, it'd be an international convention because of our membership here, and with those folks who are in the room, we've heard from a number of people from a number of countries already. But we now do move to Colorado, and Kate Wegrzyn. Hi, Kate. Oh, you need to unmute, please, my friend. Those pesky little mute buttons. There you go.
I've never done this before. Okay, so am I on screen? I see you and Mona. Okay. All right.
Yep, you're good.
There we go. Poetry is mindfulness, breathing. We now exist in more places than our bodies. To each of you at home with cultivating voices, be blessed. The tree of strength gathers poets from around the world. We stand beside each other, listening. We learn similarities and differences. A heartfelt delivery of experience. Healing words weave peace. The branches of this tree send us out to Cottywomple, which is to travel purposefully toward a yet unknown destination. Cottywomple is a word I share with Kim Ports Parsons. This is a very old poem. So yes, voices of accents and dialects, diversity, enlighten and intrigue. Hope is rhythmically filling the air. I always come back to cultivating voices, and Sandy Yannone, to this be blessed. All people live on the other side of the world, on the other side of the country, on the other side of an ocean, on the other side of a river, on the other side of the tracks. A bridge connects all people. They are from the other side and rang out the warning. Out of the mountains, we hear that we all live on the other side. Traitors will no longer divide us. May we live side by side. 25 of the world's largest lakes are the size of the Caspian Sea. Protect our seas and our waters. We may not touch them with our toes, but we know we could smell it. We must rise and be together and remain together. We will. Delphos, the dolphins, are the womb of the sea. Protect what lives under the waters. Protect the prairies. Do not scrape all its soil and build your mansions. We must rise above the destruction that's called construction. As above is below. Battles form on the coastal lines to take power, but we know. Rise, bald eagle, gallant wingspan, soar over that which was once another's land. Thank you.
Well, that is an anthem for the ages. We get all kinds of poetry here on Cultivating Voices, live poetry from around the globe. And, you know, I call Kate one of our founders because Kate had the record for the most consecutive attendances, like attended every single Cultivating Voices. And when we began, we were going every Sunday. We went every Sunday, with the exception of maybe the week of Christmas, for 2 years. And Kate was like at every single one of those readings. So she has like founding status with my sister and with Kim and with Don. And there's and let me be clear, every single one of you, there is a very, very special seat at the table for every single one of you. It's just sometimes I like to share the history of particular individuals and how they arrived and how they moved through the years with us as we are getting ready to approach our 5th anniversary in March, everyone. And we'll talk about that as we get into the new year. Some very special things coming up. Just one more thing of Kate's, you know, we must rise and be together. And if this reading today, and if actually every reading is not an example, and an exemplary example of that, my gosh, today, here we are once again rising, being heard and seen by each other. That is the essence of poetry, I do believe. It is what is at the heart of poetry. Thank you very much, Kate, my dear sister. Thank you so very much. Well, to another of our dear beloveds, we go up north to Canada, to Max Vandersteen. So glad to see you today, Max. Thank you. And it's very nice to interact with you throughout the week.
Thank you, Sandy. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. It's great to be part of this wonderful group. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to read again. I know I have read a few times lately, but when I signed up, there wasn't too many names. So I'm just going to be short here. I'll read one short poem. It is about rising, but it's about rising from the depths of the ocean, and it's called Decompression. After pressing the body to its limits, it seems nigh an eon is compressed into those 5 interminable minutes. A needed step in the slow, steep ascent to depressurize blood vessels, on the way up to soak in the sun, shining over the sparkling surface still 20 feet above everyone. A chance to survey the scene now spread across the bottom below, where we dove to the depths of the Samana seabed to probe the shell of a ghostly ship, sunk by the swells of a stormy ocean encountered some years before our own preternatural plunge. Its occasion to resorb the moments of discovery, wonder, and reverence, of hovering in the disheveled hull within a sunken near lightness and dull, but definitely not lifeless vessel, engulfed in crusts of rust and colonies of barnacles, starburst anemones, sea urchins, seasons of settled sand, and swimming with scores of yellowtail snappers and schools of lowfin chubs and blue-striped grunts. Though it does give time to assimilate the privileged, titillated state that appeased the soul and pleased the psyche, it lends time, too, to readapt the body and mind to the worldly occupations likely more commonly pursued by mankind. Thank you all.
Yay, Max. That's beautiful.
Yay, Max.
Yay, right? Yay, Max. Wow. Yeah, if that's not rising, another interpretation of rising, I don't know what is. There was I'm not gonna be able to get the author's name right. I can't remember her last name. My mom might have the book in her house, and if she does, maybe she'll put it in the chat for us. But I'm not sure if her chat function is working that well. No, she's been chatting today. The book was called The Last Dive, and it's all about these kind of extreme deep sea divers who dive wrecks and what can happen on this one particular time, because they're very, very fastidious to be able to have to do this kind of thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. It was written around the same time, kind of in that same genre and vein as Sebastian Junger's The Perfect Storm. And of course, those of you who know me, you know I have a penchant for ships that are under the ocean. So that really got to me, Max. Thank you. Well,
pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It's called The Last Dive. It was a riveting book. I couldn't put it down. The woman who wrote it is she was a lobster sea captain. I think she's retired, and I think she was doing that out of Maine or Gloucester or something like that. Her first name is Linda, and I want to say her last name is Ocean, which would just be really, really, oh, there it is. Thank you. Oh gosh. Maybe I've got the name wrong then, because okay, well, we'll see. You know, I can't get everything right. Thank you very much, Don. Everybody doing the fact checks on me. You should always. Our final reader today, in the featured readers before we go to the open mic, as those of you following in the chat have seen we'll be heading to next, is David Beckom. Thank you so much, David. So great to have you with us.
Hello, Sandy. It is great to be here and listen to all the great poets. I know Catherine was there. I'm also reading from Cork, Ireland. So it's good to see everybody. I am going to give you two quick poems, and one is on the theme of rise, even though it speaks of death. So I'm going to open it up. And here we go. It's called Knocking at the Door. When death is walking down the street and you pass it by with the quickness of feet without looking back, from a vantage point of higher ground, you look down, knowing death is just below and thanking God it is moving slow. Hearing death knocking at the door, yet feeling quite safe on the 67th floor, that your good health will win the day and that death will get bored and walk away. All along knowing it's only a matter of when and where that our paths will cross, day or night, summer, winter, spring, or fall. When you say it is time, it won't be by phone or mail or a knock at the door, but by touch, the touch of my soul, and I am no more than a memory. For now, I rise, I am alive, until I am forgotten by family and friends, and the words I have written are no longer read. Not until then am I truly dead. But for now, I wish death just far enough away that many more tomorrows turn in to today's. So that was a little bit there of rise in death. And can I give you one more? Or yes, we'll give you one more. This one we're going to talk about love, because I think love is just the most beautiful thing in all of its various forms of love. This is called Across the Hall. I stay up too late at night. Ice cream, cereal, an Oreo or two. No wonder it's getting harder to tie my shoe. Come closer. My wife's asleep in the other room, or shall I say in her bedroom. My room is across the hall, just a bed. No pictures hanging on the wall, or pillows too many to count, or fancy drapes. Just some glue and some tape covering the hole that I did make where Tiger was placed before the fall. I stay up too late at night, listening to jazz, tapping my toes, if the truth be told, picking my nose, finding a hair that should not be there. I stay up too late at night. I wonder and worry and wonder, are my kids all right? Two in America, one in the pub, one in college, how time has passed. Oh my God, much too fast. I stay up too late at night. Last I checked, it was 1 a.m. Now it is 3. What has happened to 2? Did I lose it when I was thinking of you? Not the you across the hall, but the you who knew me when life was small, when I was young and worries were few, and I stayed up too late at night. No Oreo, ice cream, or cereal in sight. Just loving the girl across the hall before tape and glue and holes in a wall. When we were young and life was small. Before I slept in the room across the hall. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sandy.
Oh, gosh, thank you. That is just, I mean, both poems, exquisite. Oh, but, I am, bring on the love poem any day. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. With everything else that we need to hear about, we always need to be reminded of love. We absolutely always need the love. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I love, love, love that poem.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you.
I can't wait to meet you in Cork again.
Yes, Sandy.
And that will be next. That will be next year. So I know. I don't know what month. So I'll try to bring a few love poems with me.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you. We'll see you again very soon. Please come back.
And
often.
thank you.
Thank you.
I will.
Yes. Beautiful. That's David Beckom, everyone. All right. We are now moving on to our waiting list, folks. And again, just a reminder, everyone, I'll try to keep my comments really short here. I want to get in as many people. So first up today is Jean-Jacques. Beautiful to see you back here again. Thank you. I can't wait. I loved your debut. Yep, just unmute. Me? Yep, you're just unmuted.
Can I get a hand?
Yep.
I've unmuted myself. Sorry, I just want to say this before I start. Every time I hear from Iris, yeah, so I have a poem here, and it's called Invictus Ani.
Yeah, you might want to turn your camera off because you're breaking up a little bit. There we go. Thanks. Let's try that.
Let's do it. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's not much better. Good.
Okay, so when tyranny becomes the status quo, speak the truth and you'll surely demon from the depths below. First they will haunt you and beckon you to go. But if ad astra, you speak with gusto, the language of poetry, the solvent of woe, then unto you with blow after blow the demons shall crow, and filled with the sins of inglorious braggadocio, their victories will mount, their influence will grow. But in this instance, appearances are because they fail to show what the histories from ages see of concord of dead or living shall ever overthrow. For the heart of man will not yield to that which the grave, the evil, the good, the eternal. And in the end, as we are all here, predestined to know, all tyrannies fall. The fate. Oh, thank you. I hope you guys got it.
Yeah,
Can you hear?
I would say we got 95% of it. 95%. It'll probably come through clearer. Yeah, it's very good. That's Jean-Jacques, everyone. Thank you so much. Come back. Folks, you are just in the lyrical today. Just so strongly in the lyrical. So now we'll go over to, I believe, in Tel Aviv, with Isaac Cohen. Hello, Isaac. So good to see you. I know my mom just always waits for you to come on. So so good to see you.
Dear Sandy, dear Kim, dear Don, dear all my friends. Isaac Cohen. Peace. The shell felt in the field. The flower lowered its head. After a minute, it raised its head. It saw a baby and wanted to give him hope. The thought stopped more cells. The peace arrived happily. Thank you, Isaac Cohen, Israel. And I hope the peace will come soon because it's very hard to be in war many times. God, please.
Yes.
Give me peace.
Yes. give us all peace. You know, those two things, peace and love, they go together exquisitely. If we, you know, I always believe that the poets, this is our revolution. This is our revolution, us sharing our poetry. And if more people would listen to the poetry than to the pundits and the politics, we would have a very different world. So keep shining your lights everywhere you go, friends. We may feel forlorn that some days we're not making a difference, but we are making a difference when we share a poem. I've seen that capacity all around the world through this program, other programs, and if I believe it will take. I will believe it will keep taking. It will keep taking. Which, when I say taking, I really mean giving. I really mean giving. All right, my friends. We move next. I've got so swept up in Isaac's and all the Possibility Brown. Talk about possibility. Billy Brown is next, joining us from ABQ. Very good to see you, my dear friend.
I'd forgotten about Possibility Brown. Thanks for reminding me. And thanks for the wonderful poetry thus far and to come. It's been really an astoundingly wonderful session. This is a poem I wrote after being inspired this morning. I call it Rising Fires. This mild fall morning in New Mexico, in a light rain, Sandy and I embark upon an hour-long walk. I am astonished by brilliant foliage, ordinarily at this late date, plucked by heavy frost, weighted down by lengthy rains, and blown away by heavy winds. This morning, in their brilliant yellows, oranges, reds, even purplish browns, so high, these dozens of trees, flaming fires of fall, they rise. Thank you.
Flaming fires of fall, they rise. I love it. Fabulous. That is Billy Brown, otherwise known to me as Possibility Brown, not to be confused with Encyclopedia Brown. Those of you in the States here, or I don't know, maybe Encyclopedia Brown is global. All right. Well, we are winding down our Cultivating Voices live poetry's Poets Focus today. It's always the first reading of the month is our Poets Focus. Our word today is rise. And oh my gosh, have we sure met this word's match today. Well, let's see what Don Krieger has to share in the bounty of today's program. Thank you, Don.
Thank you. I'm glad to get a chance to read this one today. On August 23rd, 2024, 13-year-old Cohen Craddock of Madison, West Virginia, and 16-year-old Caden Tellier of Selma, Alabama, sustained head injuries, one during Madison Middle School's Friday football practice, the other during John T. Morgan Academy's season opener. Both were pronounced dead the next day. 4 other student athletes died from heat stroke in this same opening month of the school year. 15-year-old Ovette Gomez Regalado of Kansas City, 14-year-old Samaj Wilkins of New Brockton, Alabama, 15-year-old Javion Taylor of Hopewell, Virginia, and 16-year-old Leslie Noble of Franklin, Maryland. On October 19, 2022, 2 days before his 19th birthday, Sam Westmoreland, a freshman lineman on the Mississippi State University football team, texted love to his mother and sister, drove to the Blackjack Missionary Baptist Church, and died in the car. His cause of death has never been made public. Sparrow Generations. Brown offered a full ride on my tennis, MIT on academics, Even then I knew I want to learn in college. I have a choice. Chris Dolman, Tony Dorsett, Dan Marino, the lucky athletes who soared to glory. Their generations passed through Pitt Stadium right outside my office window. I marveled as the Coliseum was demolished, and one early morning at the end, when no one else was looking, the facade with the entrance gate fell. The last grand relic to come down broke the street and the sewer beneath, and I finally understood that choice I had made at 16. Now it's an event center, the Pete, glass and concrete, food mall and Wi-Fi, Judas Priest and basketball, Foo Fighters, hockey, Disney on Ice. Sometimes I ride up the escalator, mostly I walk, outdoors through the hedges, alive with birds, feral cats, and groundhogs. Either way, you can't miss that vaulted interior, limitless ceiling, video wall like the side of a house, sports news constantly running, pictures of trophied athletes displayed in locked cases like numbered Audubon prints or rare baseball cards. In the morning, I pass by the gym. Even at 6, there are students on the treadmills, boys fit and massive, beautiful, girls fit and beautiful too. I see them on campus with their teammates, lounging and laughing, bruised and braced, casts and crutches. Often a bird strikes the peat windows in flight, then lies still on the concrete till the janitor comes. Sometimes I carry one back to the hedges when it's been days. Last week I saw a sparrow by the glass wall, standing on the concrete like a statue, even when I knelt beside it. I touched his belly, urged him, step up. He hopped over my finger, then turned and flew onto my hand. The life and quickness in that tiny body, the bright trust of a stranger. I slowly stood and walked him up to the hedges, urged him once more, and he flew free on to his own life. At Sparrow Generations.
That's a beautiful, beautiful poem. I love the spirit of that poem. And what's behind it, of course. Yes, thank you, Don. That's Don Krieger, everyone. Of course, we cannot do the program without Don Krieger and Kim Forts Parsons. We can't thank them enough. There cannot be enough accolades. There cannot not be enough applause, hearts, everything for them. So keep them coming well beyond the program, everyone. I'm going to end, and then we're going to hear, as Max said, a beautiful poem, Don. I'm going to end with a very short poem from Boats for Women, my debut collection from Salmon Poetry. I had a little more, I think every poem's political, friends. It doesn't have to be about politics to be political. But I was going to read one that was much more pointed from the Glass Studio called In Case of Post-Election Emergency. And, the whole point is that there not be one. But I'm going to read something about that evokes rise from one of the poems in my Houdini series in Boats for Women, because Harry Houdini died on Halloween. We're just coming a few days off of Halloween, and I didn't get to read a poem from the Houdini series on Halloween. So this is called Bess Houdini Recalls the Curtain in the Modern World. And Bess Houdini was Houdini's life partner in both on stage and off stage. Bess Houdini recalls the curtain in the modern world. Sometimes the hall window holds the echo of your face. It overrules the dark, and the applause, like glass breaking, returns. We're together again, propped behind the curtain, waiting for the cloth to rise and bunch to take our bows. Your left hand picks the same lock in my back each night to rest upon. Sometimes here, after all the defiances, I feel alone and grope for the woman left rusting in the drapery like an abandoned key. I hear the stage's edge call, my feet easily wanting the drop, and the crowds, their hands on all the unrehearsed places. Harry, you set out to disillusion the world. Is this why the window loves you? Well, I'm going to turn now. Stay with us. We're just a moment over the half hour, but I do want to give a little clip from Maya Angelou from her iconic anthem of a poem, Still I Rise. And thanks to Kim and Don for preparing this moment to close us out. And then we'll come and do a round of applause, and I'll let you know about next week's program. Thank you.
The issues which face us all are not just how to survive. Obviously, we are doing that somehow. But really how to thrive. Really. Thrive with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. This poem is called And Still I Rise. Now, every person in this auditorium has gone to sleep one night or another, or gone to bed one night or another, with fear, or pain, or loss, or terror, unhappiness, grief, or loss, insecurity, or terror. And yet each of us has awakened, arisen, seen another human being and said, "Morning, how are you?" "Fine, thanks, and you?" Now, wherever that abides, whether it's behind the kneecap or in the bend of the elbow or between the teeth, wherever that is, lives, there we will find our nobleness. Not nobility, I think that's a pompous word, but the nobleness of the human spirit, that we rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Just because I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my sassiness upset you? Don't take it so hard just because I laugh, as if I have gold mines digging in my own backyard. You can shoot me with your words, you can cut me with your lies, you can kill me with your hatefulness, but just like life, I rise. Does my sexiness offend you? Oh. Does it come as a surprise that I dance as if I have diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past rooted in pain I rise. A black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling and bearing in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise. Into a daybreak miraculously clear I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. And so, wow. There I go.
Well, that is, everyone. That is the one and only Maya Angelou, preceded, of course, by all of you. We began at the top of the hour with Howard Debs, Linda Wlodyka, David Brydges, Ken Burch, Patricia Carragon, Lord Garrard, Catherine Ronan, Eelka Lampe, Mona Zamfirescu, Kate Wegrzyn, Max Vandersteen, David Beckom, Jean-Jacques, Isaac Cohen, Don Krieger, and yours truly. And of course, we just ended with Maya Angelou. Thank you so much to Kim Ports Parsons for queuing that up for us. Don Krieger always will have the recording ready for us in a very timely fashion on this very time trickster day. I want to thank all of you for being here today. Ken Burch also was on. I was trying to read all the names in order. I might have botched that a little bit, so I want to make sure I got everybody in. We will return. We will rise together again next week. It's our new books showcase. And, you know, since we returned in fall, our new book showcases have just really been so exquisite. They always are. There's very prismatic constellations, but the stars are looking down on us here at Cultivating Voices Live Poetry, friends, for this fall in particular. And next week, we have, and if you don't know these poets, trust me, look them up, read their bios. You will see how exquisite they are. Joshua November will be with us. He is a poet of absolute, unbelievably exquisite transcendence. Howard, you know him, incredible poet. His first book is Two Worlds Apart. It's the title poem we were just reading at a poetry party on Bainbridge Island in Washington. He is phenomenal. He'll be joining us. Kara Briggs, who's been on the program in the open mic here, will be debuting her first reading on Cultivating Voices with her debut collection called Rivers in My Veins. And that book was just published in September by St. Julian's Press. One of the poems in that book won the James Welch Indigenous Poetry Prize at Poetry Northwest, where she also gave, as a result of that prize, a reading at Poets House in New York City. So Kara, one of our very own, here from, will be joining us here from Washington State, will be with us. Janet McFadden, who's been on the open mic here a million times, will be joining us with her salmon poetry debut collection, but it's not her debut collection. And Phil Lynch, another salmon poet, sibling of mine, will be joining us with his second poetry collection. I had the pleasure to be at his launch in Dublin this summer. So folks, I know of what I speak when I say these four together in this constellation. It's gonna rise to the occasion of magic. So I hope you will book your one-way ticket to our program next week. Same time without the tricksters, okay? That same time without the tricksters. We'll have settled into the time zones. Thanks for staying a little over today for our program. It's just been an absolute joy to be with you. And thank you to Don Krieger, Kim Ports Parsons for the support of the program. Be sure to feel free to go to this poetry reading, the recording. You know, if you need some support, love, encouragement, if you need to rise during this week, I wish for all of us, you know, I wish, of course, for the outcome that I wish for. And I also hope that you all just, you know, use good self-care this week. Reach out to people, you know, be in conversation, and just really just stay calm, do what you can, be out there, be in the streets, but be calm within yourself when you're in the streets, and make sure you vote, of course. I've already voted absentee, but everyone, I hope you will, everyone who's eligible to vote, of course, please vote. Again, I'll be back next week with you all for our amazing new book showcase here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. Thank you so much for rising with me here today on this Sunday. I'm Sandy Yannone, your host for Cultivating Voices Live Poetry, reminding you all, take very good care of yourselves. Take exquisite care of your dearly, dearly beloveds. And look what happens when we rise to the occasion and we keep writing. Go forth, my friends. The pen is mightier than the sword. See you next week.